and welcome to another video from Colour with Claire. Today I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different. So it's not colouring per se, but it does involve colouring materials, and that is galaxy lettering. So it's just a little bit of fun. You might want to do it in the nameplate pages of your colouring books, or you might just want to doodle around with it, put it in your sketchbook, just have fun with it really. And it's super quick and super simple, as everything I always show you is. So let's get started. What you'll need is a fine liner. Now it's better to have one that is resistant to water. Now these Arteza fine liners, I don't think they're marketed as water resistant, but they do a pretty good job. They're not perfect, but if you just give them a few seconds to dry rather than going straight on them with water, you'll be fine. So I'm using the Arteza fine liner. You'll also need a paintbrush or water brush and water. And then you're going to need some of your water-based pens. Now I have the Aqua pens by Spectrum Noir here, but I also have the Ecoline brush pens and the Tombow pens as well. So anything that's water-based and kind of has that very juicy watercolour ink. You'll also need, as an optional extra, a white gel pen and possibly even a sparkle pen, like a Wink of Stella or like this Spectrum Noir sparkle. So firstly, what you'll want to do is create your alphabet. Now this can be as rudimentary as you can possibly do. I cannot draw or do anything sort of with precision myself, so it is going to be very much kind of childish bubble writing for me, but it's enough just to show you how to do it. So you can make it as professional and as gorgeous as you possibly can. You could print off lettering in big block letters and then trace around them. Totally up to you how you do it, but this is just freehand. So I'm going to do first of all the letter A. So as I say, completely freehand bubble writing that you might have done when you were at school in your planner or your notebook. So there's a lowercase a. Now once you've got your letter done, the outline of it, you're going to take your colours. Now the two that I've chosen are a pink and a blue. Obviously these are perfect for galaxies, but it all depends on what kind of look you're going for. You could add some green in there, maybe do a Northern Lights kind of writing style. Any colours you want really, but I've chosen the blue and the pink. So these ones here are peacock blue and red violet. So I'm going to go on first with the red violet, and I'm just going to add bits of it all over the letter. Very, very random. Try not to go out of the lines. It's quite difficult with these fat brush nibs, but just try not to go out the lines and make it as random and as sketchy as possible. And then with the peacock blue or whatever other colour you've chosen, you just go around it and fill the rest in. So that's what I'm doing here. Zero skill required. Just try and go around the pink rather than going on top of it. But it really doesn't matter. It's all going to merge together beautifully anyway. Now I should note that this will only really work on watercolour paper. It may work to an extent on standard papers, but it's only going to work to its absolute best on watercolour paper. Now don't fear that you still can use this technique in your colouring books on the nameplate pages, like I've said. But maybe you want to do it first on some watercolour paper that you've got lying around and then cut it out and stick it into your book if you want the best result. Or you can try it on the other papers. You just have to be very, very quick and work while it's still wet, because standard papers absorb ink super, super quickly, whereas these watercolour papers are kind of designed to keep the ink workable and wet for as long as possible. So when you've filled in your letter, just like this, you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to get some water on all of those pink areas first of all. So I'm just going straight over the pink areas, nowhere else. And then once you've got those nice and wet, you can go over all of the blue. Now try not to go into the pink at this stage. So you're just following exactly where you've put all of the blue down. And you'll notice, if you're using kind of a little bit more water than you maybe would normally, that they will start to merge together of their own accord. Now what you can do to help that along is just very lightly go over the edges of the pink with your paintbrush, and it will all kind of merge and mix together. And it will create a very soft, very kind of interstellar looking galaxy type thing. Obviously I've not scripted this video, otherwise I would have thought of something far better to say than that. But you can see what I mean. It gives you a galaxy sort of look to it. So when you're happy with the kind of placements of the colour and the way that they've moulded together, so to speak, you can wait for it to dry and then go on with the next stage. So I've actually completed earlier 3 different letters with 3 different tools that I showed you. So this is the Spectrum Noir that I've just finished. You can see the one that I've just done here. This is what it looks like when it's dry. That's the Ecoline pens, and that is the Tombow pens. So they all have a very similar effect, obviously with slightly different colours. And you can see, I think, when you put it next to the wet one, just how much better it looks when it's dry. It looks awesome. So once it is dry, you can take, obviously it's preference, you can take a sparkle pen, Wink of Stella, any kind of clear glitter. You could even use Stickles with a paintbrush, just paint it on very lightly. And you can just put a bit of sparkle all over the lettering. So it's totally up to you if you want to have this extra bit of sparkle or not. But I just think it gives it a cuter kind of Milky Way look, if you like. So I've just put a layer of that sparkle pen over it, and you may or may not be able to see that under the camera. I'm not sure. But if you can, great. If you can't, then it just looks like a very light sprinkle of sparkle. But if that is not enough and you want to kind of go a little bit further with that, you can take your white gel pen and you can go in and add in some sort of thicker, easier to see stars. And you can just dot your gel pen all over the letter, creating very, very small stars and then some larger ones as well, just to give a bit of difference to it. And you can even just flick out your gel pen like this and create a little shining star like that, big star. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. I like to give galaxies as many stars as possible because I think it looks more like I picture it in my mind. But it's totally up to you how you want to do it, whether you want to go with this kind of very light shimmery sparkle that you can see on the A, or whether you want to add loads of white dots and really amp up that galaxy look. Totally up to you, or you can leave it as it is, like this Tombow. It's complete personal preference. So once you've done your whole alphabet, it's going to look something like this. And I'm sure you can appreciate that they look absolutely beautiful. It's really funky. It's kind of a fun thing to know how to do, and it's a good way to use maybe some of your supplies, your watercolour pens that you might not have used before, or you might not have kind of developed techniques in. And I just think it looks really cool, basically. So if you've enjoyed this video and you've picked up a little technique that you didn't know about before, please give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I'm always doing little tutorials and techniques alongside all my colouring book reviews and colour alongs and diamond painting things sometimes. So there's a lot of different content on this channel if you are arty. And that's it really. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.